The Milkwalker. Beware the Milkwalker. He'll ask you who you are. He'll ask you where you live. He'll ask you where you're from. He'll ask you who to call. Get one wrong, he'll take it all away. The only defense is not to answer. The Milkwalker is more of a ritual than a creature. Similar to the bell ringer, the Milkwalker can be summoned. Those who do summon it are very unwise. It's a whole lot of risk for potentially very minor gains. But as the ritual has made its way to the internet and people have fallen prey to the Milkwalker, it's a good idea to have a warning in the archive. To summon the Milkwalker, the practitioner must take a carton of milk and let it expire. The milk should be left to go completely rancid. After that, they must take some of their blood and inject it into the carton, then bury it under an oak tree, where it must be left for another month. Finally, at the end of that month, the summoner must burn their name into the wood of the oak tree the carton was buried under. When those conditions are met, the Milkwalker will come to the summoner that very night. It will force limbs of rotten milk and blood out of its carton, and on one side, it will form a crude face. Usually that face will share features with the person who summoned it, but projected and warped by the carton's surface. As it makes eye contact with the summoner, it will ask a series of questions. Depending on the answer, good things may happen, or very bad things. The best course of action at this point is to simply destroy the carton. After all, it's still just rotting milk and blood, animated to take a form. This is the safest way of dealing with the Milkwalker. But no one ever does. So dealing with how to answer is the best advice that this report can offer. The thing to remember when answering his questions is not to answer them as you would to another human being. Remember, the Milkwalker isn't human. It isn't even alive. It is physical substance animated by a ritual designed to really mess up your life. Moving on. The first thing it asks is who you are. The wrong answer is the summoner's own name. The correct answer is anyone the summoner has interacted with in the last 24 hours. Because what happens next is that the Milkwalker will take something from whoever was named and give it to the summoner. It isn't always a material thing. It can be a trait or a skill, like a person's sense of humor or their ability to speak a different language. What the Milkwalker takes also tends to be random, so a person could lose something very great, like years spent learning a martial art, or something completely useless, like the ability to whistle the theme tune to a favorite TV show from childhood. Despite the risks, this theft is one of the reasons so many people use the Milkwalker ritual. To gain unique skills and abilities from those around them, to get a leg up on everyone and improve themselves. Plus, the person who was robbed, they will never remember what was taken. To them, it is as though they had never had that particular skill, trait, or ability. If the summoner uses their own name, then the Milkwalker will glitch and take something vital to the summoner. There have been examples of people losing the ability to recognize food and starve to death eating sand. Next, the Milkwalker will ask the summoner where they live. The wrong answer would be the summoner's own home. The correct answer is a place the summoner wants to go. What the Milkwalker will then do is alter probability to grant the summoner the ability to go to that location. Alter probability. As crazy as it sounds, through the power of luck, the summoner will win a rare contest, or a computer error will occur at an airport, or they'll receive a work bonus. Some event will occur to get them a trip to the location they requested. If they had provided their own home address, that same ability to alter probability will be turned against them, and some twist of fate would occur that would result in the destruction of their home, often while they're inside the house. Finally, the Milkwalker will ask the summoner where they are from. This question doesn't fit the same pattern as the others, and for the longest time no one knew what happened when a summoner answered the question, because seemingly nothing happened at all. People came to the conclusion that this was a safe question, and one that just reinforced the control of the Milkwalker. The answer was finally discovered when a summoner took a routine blood test in preparation for an organ transplant for their sibling. The test came back as a failure, as the summoner was genetically incompatible with the intended recipient. The odd thing is, the recipient was their identical twin. Further testing revealed that the summoner didn't share any genetic details with the rest of their family, something that was impossible. But when the Milkwalker had asked where they came from, that summoner mentioned their parents. So the Milkwalker removed their link to their family by exchanging their genetic blueprint with someone else in the world. That person was found, and they too were a Milkwalker summoner. But because they had never required any testing that could have brought this to light, they had no way of knowing. There appears to be no correct answer, as any question given to the Milkwalker will cause the person's DNA to be exchanged with whoever they mention. Finally, the last question. Who do you call? Once more, the best thing to do at this stage in the questioning is to avoid responding to the Milkwalker and to destroy it immediately. Move on and don't risk your life any further, because any answer other than yourself is just a bad end waiting to happen. If you say to call yourself, the ritual ends and the Milkwalker will retract back into its carton. Then, the summoner will have an irresistible urge to drink the contents of that carton. You know, the one filled with rancid milk and blood. The summoner will have no choice but to drink it to the last drop, unable to stop themselves. They generally need to have their stomach pumped shortly after. Naming someone else will cause another urge in that person. Not to drink the Milkwalker, but to kill the summoner. That urge will not go away and will build, feeding upon itself. That person will constantly dwell on thoughts of murdering the summoner, planning the best way to carry it out. They won't even notice their personality changing. Killing the summoner will seem the most natural thing in the world. There isn't even any emotional drive behind it. They will treat it as a chore that needs to be done, like doing the dishes or taking out the garbage. In this case, the chore is to coldly, brutally murder someone. At that point, there is nothing that can be done. The summoner will now have a lifelong enemy of their own creation. So it's best not to evoke the Milkwalker, because sometimes the correct answers change. It's an unstable ritual that tends to bring more misery than success.